what happens to a non-Christian when they die?
Yeah, read Luke 16:19-31, and you find out what happens to a non-Christian. There's an account Jesus gave of a rich man who did very well in this life and who died, who was conscious, who was in torment. He knew who he was. He knew who Lazarus, the poor man, was. He knew who Abraham was. He knew he had 5 brothers. He knew where he was.
He was conscious.
He was conscious. He knew why he was there. He was in flame. He was in torment. And yet he knew he couldn't get out of it. And he knew he had the chance to believe in this lifetime. But then he was told, no one can come back and talk to somebody on the other realm. So he was stuck there. And, you know, his whole life, he can think for all eternity and regret what he did or what he didn't do.
Yeah. And, you know, I think that sometimes people will think that, well, there's chances after death, but there are no chances after death.
Hebrews 9:27, 1 death per person, then comes the judgment.
Yeah.
And so after death comes judgment, and then, of course, eventually the resurrection of the dead. Resurrection, then judgment.
And coming back to what you said about, what Jesus said about Lazarus and the rich man, you know, some will say, well, that's a parable. But what's interesting is he uses a name, Lazarus.
Yeah,
he didn't use names in parables.
Never. And also, all the parables were about this life. This story is about the next life.
Yeah.
Again.
True.
Yeah, and even if, let's say, for sake of argument, was a parable, Jesus gave all these specific details. Do you think he gave them to mislead us of what the afterlife is like? I don't think so. I think he wants us to know what's going on there. And remember, Greg, he said there's a great chasm, a great gap between those believers and those who are unbelievers. Yeah. And you can't cross over one to the other side.
It's like a behind-the-scenes look at the afterlife, and it's not pretty.
The curtain was pulled back,
Yeah, and that's why we want to believe in Jesus.